Hello and welcome aboard to this episode of the We Are Reading One Piece podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to following the entire story of One Piece from beginning to end as we focus on one volume each episode. We keep the discussion spoiler-free for new fans of the series, so this is the perfect place to follow along, whether you're new to the series or just want to revisit the world of One Piece with us. This week, we will be covering Volume 35, Captain, which covers chapters 328 through 336. My name is Joel, and I'll be your host. Joining me today, we have Evan.
Hello.
And we have Cody.
What's going on?
Yeah, so we are now in Water 7, and we'll be looking forward to it.
This volume is like why I love Water 7 so much.
Yeah, we got a good one today.
Yeah, I can't wait to discuss.
Yeah, so before we dive right in, just a little recap for where we left off. After defeating Foxy, Luffy decided not to take any of his crew members, but their Jolly Roger. Before the excitement of the Davy back had settled down, the Straw Hats were confronted by one of the three Navy admirals, Aokiji. He said he wasn't looking for a fight and merely wanted to confirm Nika Robin's whereabouts. He ended up helping Tonji to reunite with his tribe by freezing the water using his chili fruit powers. After Tonji's departure, he changed his mind about the Straw Hats and decided it would be better to deal with them now before they became a bigger problem. He warned them about Robin, but Luffy declared he doesn't care about her past. He froze Robin, so Luffy ordered the rest of the crew to retreat. Luffy challenged Aokiji to a one-on-one fight, but was easily defeated. Aokiji honored the agreement and allowed the Straw Hats to leave. After thawing out, the crew found themselves at Shift Station, where they met Kokoro, Chimney, and Gombe, the cat, who was actually a rabbit. They saw a giant frog named Yokozuna attempt to battle the sea train puffing Tom that travels from island to island over the tracks on the water. The frog is defeated, but Luffy admired his determination. Kokoro explains their next destination is Water 7, known for having the best shipbuilders in the world. If they were to find a carpenter for the crew, that would be the place. The crew arrived at Water 7 and managed to exchange their gold for 3 million berries. They split up, with Luffy, Nami, and Usopp taking their money to the shipbuilders to meet the mayor and president of the Galliot Company, Iceberg. Chopper and Robin going to explore and look at books. Sanji doing some grocery shopping, while Zoro stayed behind to guard the ship. While Chopper was in the shop, Robin was approached by a mysterious figure who whispered that they were with CP9 and disappeared with them. Zoro was attacked by the Franky family bounty hunters and dismantlers, but he fended them off. They weren't done terrorizing the Straw Hats, as they also attempted to steal their money at the shipyard. Luckily, one of the shipwrights, Paulie, got the money back and reluctantly returned it with some convincing from his colleague, Lucci. They had another shipwright, Kaku, inspect the Mary to get an estimate for the repair, but returned with bad news. The Mary cannot be fixed and will never sail again. What a cliffhanger.
Sigh.
Yeah, so we had a lot of different people that were introduced to, a lot of different multitasking roles here. Very talented people. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah. There's already so many different factions and characters and just how much he did with the setting in those first couple chapters. Like we talked about how beautiful Water 7 is.
Yeah. Yeah, really cool set piece for the current stage. All right, so let's get into the next part of the cover story before we get into the chapter. Gidatsu's Unexpected Life on the Blue Sea, Volume 13, The Sky Boss versus the Earth Boss. Gidatsu attacks a giant mole known as the Earth Boss with a jet punch.
Did we see did the last one explain what the kanji on the Earth Boss's head means? I'm trying to remember now.
I don't remember offhand.
I don't either.
I think they usually do.
Right.
But maybe it's not clear enough here. Yeah, I don't know what it says.
I don't know. Might just be Earth. I don't know. It'll be fun to figure out.
Yeah, that's a good question. And one I don't have the answer to, unfortunately.
Okay.
But yeah, that's nice reading. This giant mole shows up in the Gidatsu, just like, I'm going to punch you in the face. I'm the boss.
This town ain't big enough for the two of us. Check out this dial power.
Maybe you should dial it down a little bit. Jeez.
Oh. You just stay a little grounded
Nice.
All right, let's move on to chapter 328, the pirate abduction incident. Sanji and Chopper return to the Mary and report that Robin is missing. Sanji witnessed Robin with a masked figure, but didn't see where they went. Over at Dock 1, Luffy shouts upon hearing the assessment that Mary cannot be repaired, offering them as much money as needed. The shipwrights explain the keel is damaged, which is the backbone of the ship. Having to replace the keel would require dismantling the entire ship and essentially building it from scratch. Luffy demands that they rebuild the ship, but they further explain it would be the same and would be impossible to replicate completely. Luffy cannot accept what he's hearing and believes in the Mary. Iceberg says there is no point in discussing this any further, and they can come back when they're ready to buy a new ship. Corgi of the world government arrives, demands a private meeting with Iceberg. As Luffy and Nami prepare to leave, Luffy notices how light the 2 cases of money feel. They're both empty. Paulie thought he saw Kaku being carried off by the Franky family earlier, but they figured out it was another person with a long nose, Usopp. Luffy takes off before Paulie explains they can be found at the Franky house by the shore. Nami rushes back to the Mary to drop off the remaining case of 100 million berries. But before she gets back to the ship, she comes across a severely battered Usopp. He blames himself for being so weak and letting the money be stolen. Nami tells him not to worry, they will get the money back. All right.
I said I love the way Oda draws people who've gotten the crap beaten out of them, but this was too much.
Yeah.
This one was like hard to see. Yeah. They really did a number on him.
Yeah.
Like he looks dead. Yeah, and his nose like always broken.
His nose is bent out of shape.
God, man. Great Nami chapter though.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, Nami has a lot of like really great expressions. Even just like in these 2 pages here, like when she finds Usopp, like she has like some very expressive like faces, and like I really like the way that Oda conveys her emotions here.
Yeah, huge range there. And I love how when they find out, she doesn't mention the money at all. She's just like, we have to find Usopp.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's huge. A rare moment for Nami.
Yeah. That's so true. That's a good point.
Don't worry about the money, Usopp. That's something I would never think Nami would ever say.
Right?
I think Nami and Usopp, are like, they have some of my favorite interactions among the crew, personally. Yeah. They're always scared of stuff together, but they're both like kind of the smart ones at the same time, and it's just they're fun. They're really fun. Except for right now, it's really sad.
Yeah, this is not one of those times. But like I like this reaction where Usopp says we're finally gonna be able to fix the Mary, and then Nami has like this shocked like look on her face, where she can't like this isn't the time to say like, hey, we can't fix the Mary. So like she kind of just has like that moment where she's like kind of shocked, but she has to kind of like brush it off for right now.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, priorities.
The fact that like everybody saw like Usopp getting kidnapped, but they like that was like Kaku for some reason, but like the fact that he was being carried over his shoulder was like a red flag to them. They were just kind of like, oh, that's weird, and they just kind of like went about their day.
It's so funny. Yeah. I have thoughts on the whole Usopp being mistaken for Kaku thing, but I'll save that for later in the volume.
Okay.
It's so good.
It's so good. It really is.
So on the second page of this chapter, we see Zoro sitting awake on the ship, just chilling. I thought that was like very uncharacteristic of Zoro to not be sleeping. I feel like he's pondering something. I feel like it shows how serious the situation is that Zoro's not sleeping.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that, but like you're 100% right on that.
Yeah, I love that sequence just because, just the fact that it's no speech, but there's so much gravitas there. Like I love when Oda does that, but I didn't pick up on the fact that him being awake was such a big indicator. That's huge.
It's like now's not a time to sleep. I can't sleep with like I'm worried,
Yeah, and then we kind of dive into the breakdown of what's wrong with the Mary, which is making me feel very unoptimistic about it, which is devastating, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like when they explain it like this, it's kind
not
of
looking
like
good. Yeah,
yeah,
it's really
it
not
really
looking
puts things into context as to, like why. But I don't know how like Kaku was able to see the keel, like because I would like he didn't go like
True.
in the water. It's like how like where did he see it? Now I would assume that you
Maybe
can't see it from inside the ship, right?
Maybe we also didn't see a lot of his inspection though.
Yeah, that's true. We just kind of saw him show up and his interaction with Zoro.
Yeah,
who mistook him for Usopp.
Yeah, I'm just curious as like how he determined that the keel was damaged. Like what was the inspection? Like what was the process? Like how did he check that?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Is it visible like from inside the ship? I'm not entirely sure. Like I thought it was like at the like underneath,
Probably.
like from
I
the
would
outside.
imagine it is.
You should send this in to the SBS.
Yeah, like 20 years.
Right.
Oh, I found a I found a mistake you made a while back. Explain yourself.
Way back.
Well, no, the answer would probably be like his heart told him that the keel was damaged, and
yeah,
yeah,
he could
just
sniff it out.
He's so skilled as a shipwright, like he just knows in his heart, and like that's probably the answer we would get.
He's that good at his job.
He can smell a broken keel a mile away.
That's what the nose is for.
That's why he's got such a long nose. It's even square like a keel.
We figured it out.
Oh,
mystery solved.
Oh,
his answer.
Whoa! He knew. Oh my god!
But Kaku says that he is surprised that they were even able to get this far. He's like, I can't believe like the ship even got here in this condition. So like that just kind of like tells you like how bad of the condition the ship's in. Like they couldn't tell because it seemed to be riding fine, but yeah, it seems like at this point like they're on borrowed time.
But it's also like so impressive that they have been able to get that far.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a testament to Mary's shipbuilding skills and Usopp's ship patching up skills.
Yeah.
Combos.
He's not carpenter, but like I don't know.
Or no, what was it the Mary's official or original builder? What was the name? Was it Mary?
It was Mary. Yeah.
The ship. Yeah, it was Mary.
Yeah.
Did Mary build the ship?
Or acquired the ship at least.
He designed the ship. I know that much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
That definitely makes sense.
Impressive. I love how on these pages with the explanation when Hattori the pigeon is explaining everything. He's like in full profile. You can't even see Lucci's face. It's just fully covered up.
Hand gesture, everything.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. So yeah, like what Hattori is saying here is like the ship could be built like technically the same, but like no two pieces of wood are gonna be the same, and like you would like feel like it was different. So even though if they technically built the same ship, they would be like, this isn't the Mary. So that's another thing as well. And like it might like the size might be like just like slightly different, or there just might be a little difference like here and there. So they're gonna feel it the most, and it's probably gonna feel like alien to them.
Feels like that the expression like you can never step in the same river twice.
Yeah. Makes sense.
It feels like that to a degree.
Yeah.
Something that I really enjoyed about this chapter was the development of Iceberg and Luffy's relationship.
Yeah.
I think that he's being set up as like a really good contrast to Luffy because he has that that one panel where he says, "Hey, you call yourself the ship's captain?" And Luffy's expression right after that, oh my god.
He doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
He took that to heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Iceberg's just like, yep, this conversation's over. I have nothing more to say. Like you can either accept reality or like, just like go somewhere else. Like I don't have another answer for you. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. you can't make these decisions solely based on emotion. You have to like think about the long-term safety and viability of your crew, which is
Now that you mention comparing the two, I feel like I see a lot of similarities. Like they're both very important people with people under them in their command, and they're both also kind of childish.
Yeah.
You know, in the same sense, you know.
But at the same time, they like know when to be serious.
Right.
Totally. Yeah.
This is one of them.
They're both young at heart.
Hmm.
I mean, Luffy is still young, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, it's something that it didn't ring out to me as much my first time reading through this, and like through this whole volume, I kept on thinking about like this moment with Luffy and Iceberg.
Yeah.
It'll be relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And I also like the next page where we see Peeply Lulu, and his bed head moves from one side of his head to the other when he pushes the hair in. It just pops out on the other side. The Iceberg like calls him out. Like, Jesus, Lulu, look at that bed head. And then like his reaction, like the next panel, like when it pops out, like, he's like, ugh.
Dang it, sorry. And then next page, I just look like, oh, it's Corgi. I'm not here today.
Yeah. Nice try.
Yeah. Oh, buddy.
Yeah, so the Corgi seems kind of like a little bit of a sleaze bag, huh?
He does.
But also like kind of lazy. He doesn't. I smell pirates. Okay, I don't care. I just want to talk to this guy. You know.
Yeah, it sounds like he's here on some important business.
Yeah.
Standing next to Iceberg, he looks like the pirate. I mean, I guess he's got his suit on, but
he's got like a little scar in his eye.
Yeah.
I guess not little. It's kind of across his entire face. And Iceberg tells him, "I don't like you. Leave." And Corgi says, "You act like a child. Don't be so stubborn now."
I do like these interactions between the different foremen and everything there.
Yeah.
When they're discussing it all. I don't know. I feel like we're getting some nice personality development for each of them.
I think so too.
Actually, I'm curious, Evan, do you have any like favorites among these like the Galilea people or like these new characters we've seen so far?
Ooh.
Or should I wait till later to ask you that? Yeah.
I like Haku's character so far.
I like Haku too.
I just like his ability a lot and his personality. But yeah, they're all kind of fun and quirky. For sure.
Like Haku feels like capable to me. Like he seems like he's like he knows what he's doing. He seems like kind of like pragmatic in certain ways. But yeah, I think he's a likable character so far.
I think they're all pretty likable. Like they all seem like really diligent craftsmen and very skilled at what they do. And they're all foremen, so they're all like, you know, kind of like the best at what they do, which is cool. The best of the best. In the city of the best, you know? I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I also like Hattori. I think Hattori's pretty
Hattori's pretty great.
I'm a big Pauly stan.
Yeah.
Personally. There's some really like callous but big brothery about him explaining everything to Nami. And I'm like, yeah, I like this guy.
I think he's a little too preachy. Like telling Nami like how to dress and stuff. Like
yeah, that's the caveat there. I'm like, buddy. It's like the opposite. It's like Sanji's problem, but in the opposite direction.
Yeah. Like, he's looking, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, so anything else on this chapter?
Good.
Oh, one thing actually.
Yeah.
Does the mask being worn by somebody on the second page, like right above the whole sequence with Zoro, did anyone else think, what's Foxy doing here?
Oh,
with the horns.
With the horns, yeah, or like
the nose.
Headpiece and the nose. Yeah. I can see that.
He's here for revenge.
I know. I was like, wait. Sean's gonna be pissed.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that. I can see the resemblance.
Catch that.
Like, their silhouette would probably be the same.
Mm-hmm. That was my last thing.
All right. So the next part of the cover story. Gadatsu's Unexpected Life on the Blue Sea, Volume 14. I unexpectedly brought him down. Gadatsu has defeated the Earth Boss.
All right.
Yeah.
KO.
Showed him who is boss.
You think he would just cut holes in his elbows? Because every time he uses the jet boost, he rips a hole in his shirt.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a good point, because last time he had a shirt, he did use the jet punch against Chopper. And since he fell from the sky, I don't think he would have had change of clothes unless Goro had something in his size already that looked exactly like what he was wearing before. But he should have already had a hole in his jacket.
That's true. Maybe he did.
But I don't know if he did.
I think at that point I would just make it an aesthetic decision and cut holes in my elbows.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if he did or not. But unfortunately, I don't have the other volume handy to double check. But yeah, just something.
Hear me out.
Something. Yeah.
We send it to Oda. In the SBS.
His answer's gonna be, he repaired.
You got a burning question about Gadatsu.
He repaired the hole in his jacket with his heart. Yeah, he was so like.
It's mantra.
So determined. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good answer.
I don't know. Anytime Joel asks like a really good question, we're like, you know what?
You know who'd be good to answer this question? The main man himself.
Let me get him on the snail real quick.
What would Oda say?
Yeah. Really
all right. Point, let's get Evan's summary for the next chapter.
Alrighty. Chapter 329. My name is Franky. Nami decides not to move a battered and bruised Usopp and risk further injury, so she leaves him and rushes off to find Chopper. Back at the Merry-Go, Zoro breaks the bad news to Sanji and Chopper regarding the fate of their ship. They're devastated, but they don't have time to mourn as Nami arrives. Cut to the Franky house, where the thieves are celebrating their big heist. Their boss Franky is excited to buy that thing he's always wanted, and tells all his bros to celebrate. But the festivities are cut short as the front door explodes inward, and from the smoke appears a single silhouette. It's Captain Usopp, and he's come for revenge. He pleads with Franky, telling him the money is important for his crew to rebuild their ship, but Franky is not moved and beats Usopp to a pulp as he makes his exit to spend the 200 million berries. Meanwhile, Nami guards the ship and the remaining 100 berries as Zoro, Sanji, and Chopper head into town to assist Usopp. Instead, they find a trail of blood. Then suddenly, a figure falls from the sky and bounces off the sidewalk. It's Luffy, who has less gracefully mimicked Kaku and is jumping from rooftop to rooftop in search of Usopp. Now reunited, the Straw Hats follow the trail of blood to the Franky house, only to find Usopp in a heap and even more battered and bruised than before. Infuriated, the crew put on their game faces and head towards the Franky house to avenge their fallen crewmate.
I could just hear the Overtaken theme from the anime kick in right here. That's how you know it's about to go down.
Yeah, that last panel. Yeah. All them walking off. Yeah.
They're pissed.
Play the kick-ass playlist. Or no, the shot right before that when they're all literally like putting their game faces on. Like Zoro's putting his bandana on. Chopper's transformed.
Yeah.
Sanji's lighting a cigarette.
Yep. Nobody's saying anything. We're just making angry faces.
So metal.
Yeah, Luffy's cracking his knuckles.
Yeah, does this remind you guys of any other scene?
Oh yeah.
I
think I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah, I'm getting some Arlong Park vibes here.
Oh yes.
Yeah. To me, it's like same vibe. You know, they're getting ready to like roll up on their enemies and like take them out.
Yeah. Defending Usopp this time, and they're defending Nami in Arlong. Yeah.
Except Usopp couldn't ask for help. And is he even conscious right now?
No,
Can
he's
he
passed
even
out.
help to do it?
He's out.
He doesn't even get to experience the fact that they're doing that for him.
Yeah, and we were saying he looked bad before.
Yeah,
Now he looks dead.
Yeah, deader.
Yeah, I said the same thing in my notes here, like that he's in even worse shape than he was before. Like he's completely unconscious.
But the courage it took to show up, like I kind of wasn't expecting it to be Usopp who bashed the door in. Like, I wasn't sure it was going to be, and I was a little surprised that it was Usopp, and I was like, all right, let's go. But we all know how that went.
Yeah, I think he was just so motivated to try to save the Mary. Like that's how, like that's how much he cares about the ship, and like he feels very guilty as it is. But like he's not only letting his crew down, but he's also letting the Mary down. So he feels like he needs to go back in there and get the money back so they can save the Mary. So he thinks like without this money, like the Mary can't be saved, and it's gonna be my fault. So like, I can't just sit by and not do anything about it.
Yeah, he needs to be able to take that responsibility for everybody there.
Yeah, showing a lot of courage.
It's just I don't know. This fight gives me like the same feeling, not the same, but a similar feeling to like Zoro losing to Mihawk. As far as like just like falling short of like what you needed to be able to do in that moment, like that degree of failure. It just it hurts, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this feels even more like a fool's errand though, because he's going into like a house full of people, where I think Zoro was legitimately like confident, like I can win this.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think Usopp's blinded by rage.
Like they already beat him up. And I think it was like probably less than that too.
Right.
So now he's going to the stronghold with like the leader and like everybody. So it's even less likely he's going to win here. But again, it's kind of like that motivation is just more like I gotta put all that aside. Like this is like too important to me.
Which is big for Usopp, the guy who's like usually scared, especially now that he knows these people have beaten the shit out of him before.
Right.
Yeah.
And he wants to be a courageous warrior. This is definitely him being a courageous warrior.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. In a way, it's a success. Bittersweet, but
it's definitely definitely for his character. I think it's a moment.
Yeah, so I think we're getting these moments with like the Straw Hats where they're kind of like contradicting what we would normally know about them, but in a way that's still completely in character. I'm not saying like they're doing anything like out of character. It's just like contrary to like their normal behaviors, but like because there's something that's so important, like they're acting like in these ways. So I think it's very interesting to see. Because again, like we're starting to know these characters so well at this point, like we know what they usually do in these cases. So they're doing something that's a little bit more unexpected, and I think it's like really compelling for the story.
I completely agree. That's one of my favorite parts about Water 7. I'm so glad Oda was able to like anticipate this tempo shift.
Yeah,
right. Because it's like we've had these characters long enough where we've like established their baseline, like who these people are. So now they can surprise us, you know? Because I feel like we know the characters well enough for them to kind of have these outlying moments. Like we know their characters, so we know when they're acting out of character.
Yeah,
right.
But again, it doesn't feel like they're being written in a way that's like, oh, that doesn't feel like the character. It's like, oh, like this character, I could totally see this character doing this, making this decision.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A character is the sum of the actions they take, and if you make those actions plausible, then it's a very polarizing moment. But then you're like, oh no, this is still that same character, and Oda's just so good at that.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it's like I think it's also tough here too because like everybody's still mocking Usopp. Like Usopp shows there, and like he's so determined to fight, and they're like I've never seen such a weakling before, and like they're all just like making fun of him. Like, oh, like if this is like the kind of people that Luffy has on his crew, like wow, okay, like we don't have to worry about him.
Especially this Franky guy. That's he seems like a piece of work.
Yeah, I mean, this is like your first time seeing this like Franky dude.
Yeah, they don't give a whole lot away. Like you see the mask and their hands, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I guess you see a little bit more of them, but like It's kind of like
I mean,
you
not
said,
not too much.
just glimpses. It's mostly his gang picking on Usopp. He kind of like walks past him and goes to spend all the money.
Yeah, and he seems
cool
to have
looking
kind
mask
of
though.
Motivation too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to buy that thing he's always wanted. You know, that thing.
A certain
get the thing.
Yeah, they talk about kind of like they never had a chance to like save up the money. Was that in this chapter?
Yeah, it's his talk to the family right before. Yeah.
Where he's like, we always like get money, and then we always spend it too fast. We never have a chance to get this stuff. So now we have like the money all at once. Like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Now's the time.
Which I feel like, I don't know. I feel like we've all had moments in our life we can be like, yeah, you're like, okay, this guy's a jerk to a degree, but I'm like, I see where you're coming from, man. I've been there. It's hard to save money. If you want to help out your homies, like I don't agree with you, but like I see it, you know.
Like I could save money or I could spend it.
That is the other option.
He's got big dreams. He wants to get a certain thing and do a certain action with that thing.
But he does seem pretty cruel here. I mean, he even tells like Usopp, like, don't defy me if you want to leave this town alive. And like he doesn't care about like Usopp's pleas, and yeah, so he seems like pretty self-serving here in this case.
Yeah, I like the character design too, like the mask and the like cloak, the stars. It's kind of like gestury almost, but
he's probably getting ready for that festival.
He's also massive. Yeah, that's true.
That's a good point.
I love the moment when Luffy makes his entrance into this chapter. I think that panel is so good. It's so good. I feel like I can see that. I can see it. I can hear it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's really well drawn. It's just a great moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had that noted here as well because I thought it was absolutely hilarious. Because like it's just like like you said, you can like totally see it playing out because like it's just like so visual, but like you can like hear like the bonk and like and then it, like even just falls right in the water.
Falls right into the water.
Like it's like
where
such
he
a good
surely
dumb
drown
thing.
to death if his crewmates weren't standing right there to watch the whole thing happen.
Like, which is just so necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's made of rubber, so he probably really does bounce like that.
Yeah.
He's a particularly bouncy person.
Yeah.
Oh, a question for y'all. So there is the panel on the page after this gag with Luffy where they say maybe he blamed himself and went to confront the Franky family all alone. Who do y'all think said that? Because we don't see who it's attached to. I think Sanji, but I'm curious about.
I'm thinking Sanji as well, because it looks like Sanji is directly speaking to Luffy, and it's probably the same dialogue carried over to the next panel. Because like Zoro's already walking away, so I don't think he's like really engaged in the conversation. Yeah, so I'm thinking most likely Sanji.
Okay, I want to make sure that. I was going by the same process, and I wanted to double check because I feel like I don't know. I think there's a lot of nice Sanji understanding Usopp moments as well. That's another relationship I really like in the crew.
Yeah, because I feel like Sanji is generally like the least like sympathetic like to guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just gonna
or
say.
At least like outwardly, but I think Sanji does have these like moments like here and there, whereas like he really is kind of like a softie. You know, he tries not to really show it, especially when he's like, is Nami and Robin okay? Like, he doesn't ask about anybody else if they're okay. But
I think got hurt care. Too.
He's like, got priorities, but he still cares.
Yeah, it just stuck out to me that particular moment.
Yeah, very observant. Like Sanji in that moment being very observant. He actually did predict what had transpired.
Yeah.
Read Usopp's motivations.
All right. Anything else on this one?
No, let's fucking go. Ready to throw down.
The juxtaposition of noses between. There's the panel of Usopp, panel of Nami, panel of Kaku. It's like she's just right between like the two characters with the long noses. It just felt good framing to me. That's what I got. That's my final thought.
Which page is this?
The second page of the chapter.
Oh.
Like it was Kaku's nose, same plane as Nami's tie. Then the other part of Nami's tie, same plane as Usopp's nose.
Ah.
I don't know, just the OCD.
Yeah, her tie's in the same shape as Usopp's nose.
Poor Usopp.
It's so funny, but it's bad. Yeah, that's what I got.
All right, so moving on to Gadatsu's Unexpected Life on the Blue Sea, Volume 15. I made it my slave and unexpectedly altered its helmet. Gadatsu is now the boss of the Earth Boss and made a space to ride in its helmet.
Wow.
How?
We got a lot of questions for Oda this volume. It's particularly in the Gadatsu arc. Yeah.
And Water 7's
the
cool.
Scale seems to have changed as well.
Mm-hmm.
It does seem really big.
He looks way bigger here than before.
Like the bandage from like where Gadatsu punched him is bigger than Gadatsu's like entire like upper body.
It's a big punch.
Oh, explain.
I love that he just got like a little like room up in his helmet for people to chill.
Yeah.
How convenient.
Just kind of threw that together real quick.
Yeah. Perfect.
But yeah, I mean, they just kind of like beat up this mole and they're like, all right, now you work for us. I'm like, all right, fine, I guess.
Yeah. King of the sky and king of the earth now.
Yeah, I would think that if they were going to tell us what the kanji meant on here, like we probably would have seen it here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? This is a clear panel. I might be able to translate it right now.
Ooh.
According to Google Translate, it says number.
Interesting. Yeah, mine also says number. Oda, why does the mole's helmet say number?
New
SBS question.
What does it mean? Number.
We got a list. We got a rolling list for this.
I'm sure they'll all be answered. Every single question we've asked will be answered.
Eventually, I'm sure. Honestly, so far, a lot of conversations we've had have been answered in SBS.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I have no answer for this one.
I don't know.
Nope.
Maybe it's the number of times we're asking questions about this cover story. I don't know.
We'll probably find out in 2 volumes.
All right, let's move on. Chapter 330. It's decided. As the Franky family blissfully parties, the Straw Hats roll up to the front door of the Franky house. As one of the members is about to leave to get more supplies, he is blasted back through the front of the building. They recognize Straw Hat Luffy, but are not intimidated if they have weaklings like Usopp on the crew. Luffy makes his point as he blasts a hole in the iron armor of another member. They start to second guess themselves, but it becomes clear nobody's here to talk. The Straw Hats overpower the Franky family. Zanbai tries to explain that Franky already left with the money on the sea train and probably spent it all on the black market. Luffy says it's not about the money anymore, and they should all prepare to have every bone in their bodies broken. The Franky family tries to fight back, but are no match for the Straw Hats. Now sitting on the rubble where Franky House used to be, Luffy decides they'll say farewell to the Merry.
This is action-packed.
Yeah.
This is a throwdown.
So many great action panels. It's almost like each character gets their own page.
Mm-hmm.
A little time to shine.
Which is rad.
Actually, I really love the 2 pages that Zoro gets.
Yeah.
It very much gives like I feel like there's a lot of it feels a lot clearer as far as like the space taken up than Luffy's in particular. to a degree Sanji's and Chopper's, but just makes me think of like the fact that he's literally cutting steel in this panel and that state of mind he had to be in to like cut nothing but cut everything.
Yeah, so what he learned in Alabasta seems to be coming in handy here.
Yeah. Whereas Luffy's are so
three-sword style too. He means business.
Yeah,
and bandana and 3 swords.
On that note, this is the translation thing I want to point out. Is he says Santorio, Raven Hunt. So Santorio means 3-sword style, but they didn't translate it. So normally he would say 3-sword style in the US version.
Interesting.
Oh,
so yeah. We've had this translator like on the series before. It's Megan Bates. But I'm wondering if it's like maybe like a space issue or something. Because like the way how small the panel is. I just thought it was odd that they left Santorio like untranslated.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I feel like
such a great panel.
You know what? Give like a little like thing in the margins, like whenever they have done Santorio in the series where they like said like 3-sword style right here.
Yeah, I don't think they've ever like an asterisk.
Yeah, but I don't think they've ever actually had Zoro say Santorio before. It's always been 3-sword style.
Interesting. I didn't pick that up.
But yeah, the strats are kind of like kicking butt here.
For real. It's really nice seeing Chopper kicking some butt. I feel like it's been a minute since we've seen Chopper throw down.
Yeah.
Chopper's looking jacked.
Yeah. He's not even an arm point. Oh my god. Buddy.
Yeah.
We see him fight
it's all Sanji's cooking.
Horn point as well. Which they also changed the I just noticed this one too, is that they changed the term again. Where the first time we saw Chopper, the like Drum Kingdom, it was they used the term boost instead of point. But now they're back to boost. But they changed it to point that I think during Skypiea. So it can be like guard point. It's like, you know, be guard boost. Here it should be like horn point.
Might just
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Could be an oversight thing. So could be an edition, like a printing edition thing too. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. All I know is Chopper did a cool move. It's Sanji
and is looking so badass.
So Luffy. Super badass.
Is the colonnade rose?
Yes.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
Just cutting off any hope of escape for these guys.
Yeah.
It's giving I'm not locked in here with you, you're locked in here with me vibes.
then they get desperate and fire the everything cannon, which was hilarious. There's a potted cactus coming out of that cannon and a watermelon.
Everything but the kitchen sink.
Pretty great.
Oh wait, nope, that's in there too.
Hey. Oh my god. No way.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious.
Wait, did Zoro cut the watermelon in two?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I love it.
A snake, a bowl, knives, a bomb.
A skull.
A skull.
That might be on fire.
So good.
A sea urchin. That's how I'm gonna move out of my apartment. I'm just gonna load all my stuff into a cannon, point at an angle to Culver City. Easy peasy.
Bang.
I also just love near the start of this chapter, the lighting on Luffy's face. It just really gives we're not screwing around here. This is personal. This is not about the money. And
yeah,
I'm not going to listen to anything you have to say. You're done.
Mm-hmm.
It is a pretty great moment where like they are underestimating Luffy, and Luffy just comes in and it's just like, I'm just gonna smash this guy's armor. And like, what are you, an idiot? Like, you know that's like iron, right? And Luffy doesn't say anything, and he still just like attacks like the armor and just like destroys a giant hole in it. And then they're like, oh, okay, this guy means business. We got the wrong idea from this guy.
Mm-hmm.
The whole Iron Armor speech just felt so Don Krieg. It's like, dude.
Yep.
Come on.
Like, hey, can we talk about this? And then it's like, fire the cannons. Like, all right, so that was not a serious suggestion, right?
Literally cuts this one guy off mid-sentence. Oh, you're not getting the berries back.
No. Yeah, that they're like, it's not about the berries.
Yeah. It's personal.
It's personal.
And then Luffy makes the decision to stay for all of the Mary.
Yeah. It's a big decision.
I'm like holding on for hope, but they just keep reiterating this fact, and it's very sad. It seems like it's actually going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Who knows? I mean, you know.
So I'm staying optimistic. I'm like, I don't know, something crazy, something magical is going to happen, and the Mary's going to be
It's One Piece,
but it's not. Yeah, it's One Piece. I'm staying optimistic until, that ship sinks.
Yeah, I mean, we're not shipwrights, we're not experts, but we also believe in like we want to believe like in the best in the series, right? Like this is a series about like hope and following your dreams, and like
right.
I think those are messages that are like something that are really important for the series. So we don't know how this is gonna play out here, so we'll just have to see. But we don't have like all the information quite yet.
Yeah, but yeah, and you see it on every crewmate's face as they are getting this information. Like everyone's devastated when they hear this, and like the Mary Go's definitely become like part of the crew, and like we were there when they all met the Mary Go for the first time and set sail, and they all spoke their hopes and dreams and set sail for the Grand Line. So it's like, it's been cool seeing the ship go through the whole journey, and it's kind of crazy to say goodbye to it. But he said they're saying farewell right here.
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, we only have the information that they have access to right now. So, like, based on the information that Luffy has, like, this is probably the most like logical decision. So yeah, Luffy like he fought it like earlier against Iceberg. Now he's like, I think he's had time to like process it and kind of like see a reason. It's like, okay, well, this is like the way it is. So like based on that information, we have to decide how can we like keep going on this journey. Like we can't stop here. Right. We have to keep going. So unfortunately, there's not really much else they can do. Yeah, so he has to make that decision.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me that this decision comes specifically right after they destroy Franky House as revenge for them beating Usopp up.
Yeah.
Which to me makes me wonder if it's a combination of seeing the influence of Iceberg. This guy was like a huge leader in Water 7 who directly called out Luffy's own abilities as a leader. And then seeing one of his crewmates get completely messed up and thinking, okay, well, I've got to think long term. Is my crew? Is it my ship? Like, what sacrifices do I have to make? How do I make sure that the unit? It just feels like a really big development for him.
Yeah, he's probably weighing like what's important here. Like what, like the crew is important to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, he has to do what's best for his crew, and maybe that's kind of like where he's coming from here. So yeah, I think it's a good point. Like seeing like how his crew is directly affected here, and like Usopp is beat up, and he has to like make this decision. And yeah, so it's definitely a tough one to make.
But he made one.
Yep. Got to move forward.
But yeah, I do love how they just completely destroyed the Franky house. So
yeah,
like there's like nothing left standing here.
So sick.
Yep.
Like, it feels like so earned. Like they have.
I also love after seeing Chopper has gone from like fight mode to like cute little Chopper fixing up Usopp in the next stage.
Back to doctor mode.
Yep.
All right. Anything else on this one?
Yeah.
Good.
All right, moving on. Gadatsu's Unexpected Life on the Blue Sea, Volume 16. Dig, Earth Boss. Gadatsu and Garo have the Earth Boss start digging holes into the ground.
Got big plans.
Big money moves. Big mole moves. Big money mole.
Big mole moves.
Yeah, so hopefully they'll find what they're looking for. All right, let's move on. Evan's summary for the next chapter.
Okie doke. Chapter 331, The Big Argument. At Galila company headquarters, Corgi and his bodyguards leave in a huff as Iceberg explains Corgi is after something he has. Behind Iceberg, there is a wanted poster for a young Nico Robin with a bounty of 79 million berries. Back on the merry-go, Usopp wakes up and apologizes for losing the money, but Luffy doesn't seem too concerned. Luffy then informs Usopp that they will be switching ships, which is not received well. Usopp does not trust the opinion of the shipwrights and believes Luffy is abandoning their ship. The rest of the crew try to calm down Luffy and Usopp, but the argument only intensifies. Eventually, Usopp grabs Luffy, and Luffy pins down Usopp. Sanji steps in, kicking Luffy away, which seems to knock some sense into Luffy as he begins apologizing. But Usopp doesn't waver, and he says he can't keep up with the crew's growing strength, and he's only becoming a burden. Usopp walks off the ship and says, "I'm quitting this crew." Everyone is in shock when Usopp turns around and challenges Luffy to a duel, stating, "If I win, I'm taking the merry-go."
Wow.
Yo. This is so intense. This chapter is so intense.
Did you expect to see anything like this based on like what we've been seeing in the story?
No, like every step of the way, I was expecting it to get resolved. I was expecting resolution. Like I was expecting them to come to terms, come to agreement, have an explanation, but it just kept escalating, and ends with him saying he's quitting the crew, which like was just like felt like a stab to the heart, like for real. And it's just after everything that happened, like everything that just transpired, you know, like them going in, seeking his revenge, like kicking a lot of ass for him, and the amount of courage that he just showed to go in there. It was just like I feel like they all had a growing moment together, and then it resulted in this like very unsatisfactory finale. And yeah, I mean, I think like they're both pretty stubborn characters, right? And like they both are very opinionated and stick to their opinions and stick to their guns. And so I can see it escalating like this. And like Nami kind of says something in the next chapter that makes a lot of sense. And I think it's like the entire crew has already been given this information, and it's had time to process it and has been there through every step of the process and have seen Luffy come to his decision. Where Usopp's coming in at the very end, the decision's already made and everyone's okay with it. And so he's like, wait, what? And I feel like it just sends him off the edge because he's been taking care of the ship forever. He's kept it afloat. It shouldn't be sailing, but Usopp has kept this thing above water. And for them to just be like, yeah, we're switching ships and be casual about it, right? Because they've already made their decision. They weren't asking him what he thought or how he felt. Mm-hmm. And so, like, yeah, it was like I could see the whole thing unfurling, but it was like so painful to watch. And I'm just like, this was like one of the most intense chapters that we've had. This is the first time we've had like true conflict within the crew as well. Like it was like, really intense. Like they struck each other. They got into like a legitimate, not just like fucking around, but like actually like aggressively got physical. Like Usopp grabs Luffy pins down Usopp, Sanji steps in and kicks Luffy. That was really intense. I was like, holy shit. It's going there. And then it was like past the point of no return at that point.
Yeah.
And then Usopp turns around and challenges Luffy for the merry-go. I was like, damn. You know, after everything he's went through, he is like beaten to a pulp at this point, but he's still ready to fight the captain and his best friend. So it's like, whoa.
After all that, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was a lot.
He still has
That was a
fighting
lot.
spirit in him. Yeah.
Yeah, this is really intense.
This is easily one of my favorite chapters in the entire series. And in my mind, some of Oda's best scene writing.
Yeah. It definitely
Oh my god.
was the first, like, for a lot of firsts. Like, it was a lot of the first time we're seeing a lot of this. And these two are genuinely angry at each other. It's like the first inter-crew dispute.
Mm-hmm. And Oda's been doing such a good job of just like laying the seeds of Usopp's entire struggle leading to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, even going back to like Aokiji, he's like, oh, I just ran around a lot. Oh, we see this guy with a long nose who's really good at carpentry, and they like, oh, hey, Usopp. Which is like hilarious, but I was like, man, like you don't respect my contributions enough to think that I'm this other guy.
Right.
Like, damn, dude, you know?
Yeah, that's a great
on
point.
The way,
like, not being recognized and then getting beaten up and like actually losing all this money for the crew. Like, he feels obviously guilty about that. And like, he was like, if I was stronger, we would have kept this money and we wouldn't be in this whole situation that we're in right now if I was a little stronger. So yeah, like you said, Oda really did plant all the seeds to like make this feel as heavy as it was. Like, it was a very heavy moment. And we know it was heavy because of, like you said, all the seeds that like validated all those feelings and all those moments in this outburst.
And even when they were traveling to Water 7, like Usopp was hugging the mast of the ship.
Yeah.
You know, and like this is the ship that was given to him by his childhood friend. So like I think there's that extra layer for Usopp where there's like more of that sentimental value too, because like how he even got the ship.
That's true. He knew Mary personally.
Yeah. Yeah, so Kai and Mary were like people he knew, and like them giving the ship to them like meant that much.
Yeah, Kai gave them the ship.
Yeah, Usopp takes it very personally.
Wow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been taking care of it this whole time.
Yeah. Which is so funny to me. Not funny, like tragically funny. Because almost any other time when, like, think in Skypiea, they're like, Usopp, you can fix this, right? Every time Usopp says, I'm not a carpenter. Yeah. I'm not a carpenter. This is not my job. This is the one time where he says, oh, I'll fix it. I can do a good job. And Luffy has to tell him, Usopp, you are not a carpenter.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Tragic irony.
Yeah.
So good. Like, my God, I love this.
Yeah, I'll just fix it like I always do. No problem. Hey guys, lend me a hand.
Right, it's gotten us this far. It's worked so far.
Yeah.
But he's willing to like do a whole 180 on this stance he's taken every time, if it means, one, saving the ship from the person who mattered to him so well, and feeling like he can contribute to this crew. Because he feels like he's useless.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just
and on the panel,
this whole struggle between
them. No, I'm with you, dude. This was like an emotional roller coaster, this whole chapter. And like even the panel where he says, I'm quitting this crew, they show the jolly, which he made, because he made the jolly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Usopp has contributed a lot to the Straw Hats. That like isn't just let me like win this fight. Like he's contributed a lot to like the heart of the Straw Hats, and like you know just, like the Merry itself and like the journey. Like so Usopp does a lot like in that regard, but I feel like he's not really seeing that part of like his contributions. Like he's just seeing his like shortcomings, and like Usopp even like says that like he accuses Luffy of like leaving useless crewmates behind. That's what he's like. If you can just discard crewmates, fine. I'll just leave if you don't need me. So
right, because he was considering the ship like a crewmate, which is which feels right. Like that feels so true.
Despite the fact that they just like went and took down the Franky house after they beat up Usopp, but like I was saying, like he wasn't really conscious for that. He wasn't really present. He was not really aware of that. But I also don't think that matters. Like I don't think it overrides like his feelings in this case, where he feels like he is kind of being discarded. I think it might even kind of confirm it's like, oh, you had to come and like save me and defend me. Like I'm useless. I'm not contributing, so I'm just like a burden to you guys. Might as well just, take the burden off of you guys, and I'll just leave. I'll make it easier for you.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, and he even says, I'm serious. I've been thinking about this for a long time now. And I was like, oh my God, he is serious.
As someone who had the lowest self-esteem as a middle schooler and read this chapter in like 7th grade, Oda did it's just such a great job, like example of like how insecurity can erode your trust in the people that care about you.
Yeah. Yeah, you can kind of project and like fill in the blanks because you don't know how other people are perceiving you. So sometimes like you might be thinking something worse than what other people are thinking. And then like you take that on to be like reality because you get so used to thinking that way that becomes like your reality, and you think like they must be thinking that. So Usopp's probably in that same boat.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Oh God. Dude.
Nice.
Oh my God.
Cody has left the podcast.
God.
Oh my God.
That was great.
Yeah, I
don't know if that's useful, but like, yeah.
Oh my God.
What do y'all think of Luffy's perspective on this?
Is this the chapter where Zoro like tells him not to second guess himself?
Yeah, it's next chapter. Yeah.
Okay, I won't go into it then.
Zoro like specifically doesn't say anything. We just get like a bunch of like ellipses for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been very stoic in this volume. I feel like he's been more passive than usual. I
kind of feel like that's
like the. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I just kind of feel like that's Zoro is typically one to not lift a finger more than he has to unless the moment arises where he has to step in and intervene. I think he's really good about recognizing those moments.
Yeah.
So like, when he stepped in to like save Robin, or when Chopper was crying about like not wanting to like be taken to Foxy's crew, Zoro kind of stepped in and was like, no, like you have to accept like this is what happened. So I think sometimes Zoro can be like a realist, but like he's not going to always just come in and offer his opinion until like it's kind of like he feels like he can really provide something useful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a realist and a loyalist to Luffy. Like whatever Luffy's saying or doing, he will back up 100% without blinking an eye.
He's got Luffy's back.
Mm-hmm.
Like in this case, like he really doesn't show much emotion. He just stands by Luffy the whole time.
Because I think that's kind of like trusting and letting them have their own agency. Because like he's gonna be like, let people do what they do, like they can make their own decisions. So I feel like Zoro's not gonna like be like, no, don't go, like you should stay. He's gonna be like, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. Like I'm fine either way. So he's very much about like letting people make their own decisions for themselves. Whereas like Sanji here, because kind of going back to Cody's question about like how does Luffy feel, like Luffy's definitely like heated, like Cody mentioned before as well. Luffy's had more time to process this information. The rest of the crew has more time to process than Usopp, but like Usopp is very heated. His emotions are rising, and I think Luffy's kind of like meeting him as well. He's like, you think I don't know like how I feel? Like I know exactly what like how you feel. Like I felt the same thing too, but like this is how we have to handle it. But then Luffy gets like so heated where he's about to say like, presumably like, why don't you just take the opportunity to like leave the crew? But Sanji like stops him like mid sentence, be like, yo, idiot, like stop and think about it before you say something you're gonna regret. And then like Luffy's like, you're right, sorry, I was like losing my cool, like that's not what I meant. And Usopp takes it very personally. He's like, no, I know exactly what you meant. So he's like, you know what, fine, I'll do you the favor, I'll leave if that's how you really feel. So like this, the whole way this plays out, I think it's like beat for beat, it's like it's just like really well done, conveying these emotions and getting the points across, and you can like really see like where they're coming from and like how like everybody's feeling. And it's just like such like raw emotion, and we haven't seen the crew like turn on each other like this, like to this degree. Like I think the closest we've probably seen was like maybe like Vivi and Alabasta, where like Luffy had like a brief skirmish with like Vivi. Just it wasn't like that serious, whereas like they just had like a little like exchange of blows. It felt like more like brother and sister kind of thing, but this feels like if it got to the point where like they're physically attacking each other, like we haven't seen them like get to this level before.
It just hurts.
It hurts.
It hurts.
Yeah. How about you, Cody? Like, what do you think about Luffy's like thoughts here?
It just seems to go further into that whole. I mean, so I guess my journey with this volume was like starting to see it from Luffy's perspective, because I had focused so much on Usopp's perspective whenever I would revisit this fight. And to me, it makes me think of, again, that whole thing with Iceberg, that whole thing with Luffy's burden as the captain on making this decision. Right. And being a person who is so good at reading others' emotions, probably understanding that Usopp would be someone who would take it hard.
Yeah.
But Luffy has legit, like he says, I've been looking at ships to replace her. We can figure out a secondhand one. It can be even bigger if it costs us this much. Like, it's like you were saying, like we're seeing all these different sides of these characters. This is Luffy like taking time researching something.
That's a lot of character, yeah.
Yeah.
He's trying so hard to like be a good leader and like make the best of this terrible decision he's been put into. And what I think he sees in Iceberg, and this is something that I think he even comments on later, is the fact that people around him trust him, and that Luffy has been able to like unite these people who or that Iceberg was able to unite these different companies who were feuding with each other, which makes it even more tragic that in his effort to get us through such a tough situation, it ends up creating the biggest division we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And the moment where it explodes into violence, it's not that Usopp is saying Luffy is wrong. This whole chapter, Usopp keeps saying, Luffy, no, you're wrong. Oh, you're going to listen to a bunch of shipwrights? Oh, that's not it. Oh, I can fix it. I can fix it. But between Luffy's, I need to find the specific page. It's when Usopp says, you were just pretending to care about Mary. Luffy doesn't care if you call him wrong. But if you say he doesn't care, that's completely different.
Yeah.
Because that's Luffy's job. And that just makes his chapter twice as painful, man. God.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are really good points.
Yeah, and, that was like the moment where the argument went like past the point of no return.
It's
because even his final words was like, "You don't like my way of doing things," before Sanji cut him off.
Mm-hmm. Good on Sanji.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, for real.
Yeah. He's the compassionate
and Luffy
one. Like,
realized too. Like Luffy did realize. He's like, yeah, and we started to rebuff what he was saying. So, that was intense. That was such an intense chapter.
Yeah, I think there's just like so much to unpack here and to dissect. But I think we've gone over like the main points of the chapter. I think we should move on to the next one if we're all good here.
Mm-hmm. You're right. We could talk about this forever.
Yeah, like it's very easy to kind of get lost.
It's so good.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack.
Like it's so well done. It's so well done.
Yeah, I've said what I had to say, and it's probably best for my emotions if I don't say any more. Then
yeah.
All right.
It just continues in the next chapter.
Before we actually before we do move ahead, I actually did want to mention at the beginning of the chapter, Corgi left upset after meeting with Iceberg. So we saw that they tried to meet. But But yeah, it seemed like he didn't get what he was looking for from Iceberg.
Right.
But he is hiding something.
He is hiding
Possibly.
something.
Quite possibly. And then I also wanted to note that Iceberg has Nico Robin's wanted poster on his wall.
Sure does.
So he seems to be like to know who Nico Robin is, and she's on his radar for some reason.
She looks very young in the photo as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when she was younger, because we know she's had a bounty on her since she was 8.
Yep.
So
hell of a bounty for an 8-year-old.
And Robin is still missing after, like, through all this too. Robin is still MIA. We don't know what happened to Robin.
MIA.
It's like almost as
Falling
much
apart,
as
man.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, just wanted to mention those points as well.
It's falling apart just like the ship.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll see myself out. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let's go to the next chapter, please.
Yeah, so let's change gears to Gadatsu's Unexpected Life on the Blue Sea, Volume 17. We hit pay dirt. Hurrah! The digging pays off as they struck water. They could be drinking good tonight.
Or bathing well.
That's so silly.
Yeah, so they're excited. They hit water.
That's great.
It seems to be what they're looking for.
Yeah. Team photo.
Right.
Team photo. Let's go. Let's go.
Okay, so after that little detour, let's get back to the main chapter. Chapter 332, Luffy versus Usopp. Nami tries to convince Luffy to back out of the fight and apologize, but Luffy says it's too late to back out now and to leave him alone. Nami tells Zoro and Usopp to stop bickering as there's enough fighting among the crew. Chopper returns dejected. He tried to treat Usopp's wounds, but Usopp told him to leave since they were no longer crewmates. With Robin missing as well, Nami feels like the crew is falling apart. At 10 o'clock, Luffy waits outside for Usopp to arrive. When he shows up, Luffy warns him that he picked this fight, but Usopp tells him that unlike the other enemies he's faced, he knows how to defeat him. Usopp announces he has 8,000 henchmen. This amazes Chopper, but Luffy is not fooled. Usopp opens up with an Usopp voodoo, but Luffy is unaffected. Luffy winds up, but hesitates as Usopp falls to the ground spitting up blood. Turns out it wasn't blood, but a special attack, Ketchup Star. He blinds Luffy using a flash dial, and follows up with a series of egg stars. Luffy tells him to stop messing around and take this seriously, but Usopp tells him he's very serious. This is how he fights. Usopp sends a deluxe pepper sauce star right into Luffy's mouth. While Luffy is dealing with his mouth on fire, he stumbles upon the caltrops that Usopp planted. Not wanting Luffy to recover, he sends Shuriken at him. While Luffy was dodging, he didn't notice a wind dial Usopp placed to release gas that was masked by the scent of the rotten eggs. Usopp shoots a fire star, causing a massive explosion. After the smoke clears, Luffy lays on the ground. Usopp tries to catch his breath. As the two former crewmates fight, the waves crash over the Mary, making it look as though it is crying. So after the build-up,
no one's pulling their punches.
Yeah, after the build-up, it goes to a straight-up fight.
Yeah.
Thoughts on this one?
I thought that was really clever. It was like Usopp was kind of like slowly ramping it up, and Luffy's like, oh, he's just up to his old tricks, but he kind of used that as a guise to lay his trap.
Yeah.
So
lying has become his fighting style.
His own. Always has been.
Always has been. The gas, Luffy realizing that it's gas has lived rent free in my head for so long. Oh my god. And the number of Linkin Park AMVs set to this fight. not to disrespect like the level of emotion that is well earned here, but dude.
Yeah, so I mean, Usopp pulls out some classics here. He pulls his 8,000 henchman move, which obviously Luffy wouldn't be intimidated by. Obviously, knows that's not true. Chopper, on the other hand, is completely like whoa. Usopp, you were busy the last few hours.
Amazing.
Getting Usopp Voodoo, which also doesn't do anything for Luffy. A little disappointed we didn't get a rubber band of doom here. I think that would have like really like been like the one thing missing that
full bag of tricks.
Yeah, or Usopp Hammer, which would also have been nice, but I think the rubber band of doom would have really like tied this together nicely. But yeah, we get some other like tactical moves from Usopp, which are I think Usopp like puts up like way more of a fight than you would expect. You would probably think this could be like so one-sided. But Usopp's like pulling out some stops here.
Yeah. Luffy hasn't even had a chance to do anything. He's just been reacting.
The Egg Star was genius.
Yeah. That was really smart.
And poor Chopper at the beginning of this chapter.
Yeah. Yeah, like leave me alone, Chopper. Like we're not crewmates anymore. That hurts.
Brutal.
He's not even looking at them as he comes in.
And it breaks down to tears.
Yeah, it's all very hard to watch.
But Usopp is just... Usopp's out for blood right now.
Yeah. Sorry, eat this.
Yeah, I love the like the fake out he does with the ketchup star. Mm-hmm. Like he takes advantage of like he expects Luffy to like be sympathetic to him. Like Luffy stops his attack because he sees Usopp fall to the ground like bleeding. He's like, "Oh no, like, Usopp, are you okay?" And then Usopp's like, "Oh, showing compassion for your enemy, like yeah, that's a rookie move." And then he shows him what's up.
Yeah, he may not be the strongest, but he is a good like tactician. You know, he like thinks he's good at combat strategy. And he puts that on full display in this chapter.
I mean, Usopp survived this long for a reason.
Yeah. And that fire star was no joke. And like when you see Luffy's face as he's lying, after he's been struck by the fire star, it was like, it looks like this glossed over look where he just realizes that like, yeah, he's going there. Like this is going there. You know, like this
gotta take it seriously. Yeah.
Yeah.
Worst possible outcome.
Yep. And then the crying Mary is the last panel. Like, oh my god.
Yeah. I love that
it's
panel.
All hidden.
The Mary's like witnessing like the fight and like like the way that the waves like crash on the Mary's like very poetic.
Yeah. Oh, and also throughout the argument and now throughout the fight, Oda's been like sprinkling in little flashbacks.
Yeah.
That just drive it home. Just like, you know, just like these glimpses of happy moments they've shared together just to like show you how far this has come and how drastic this is.
100%.
Yeah.
Brutal.
I can barely look at the pages to try and remember anything else.
Right. Once was enough. I don't want to relive this.
The spread of just Luffy and Usopp squaring off with each other. I have Evan, I don't know if you've seen this, but for the card game, I have like a little project I'm working on where it's a playmat, but it's like a collage of all like my favorite panels. Cool. And that one's gonna take just a huge section of the corner because just the atmosphere in it is insane.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'll have to see that when it's finished. As long as it's spoiler free.
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
But I do like how both members like have resolve and like they're committed to this fight. So they know, like, they respect each other enough to be like, all right, we're gonna see this through. Luffy at the beginning of the chapter, like, he's made up his decision. He tells Nami, like, we can't back down. It's too late. Like, this is happening. Like, Usopp's made his decision. I made my decision, and we just have to battle it out.
It's always great when Luffy has like those little moments of wisdom. He says, if it was something we could patch it by talking about it, it wouldn't have come to this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a time for talking and a time for fighting.
Mhm.
So they're fighting here. And like we've been talking about, like Nami says like it feels like everything's falling apart. Like what's going on? Like this like it's like everything's happening all at once. So it's just like things are just like piling on here.
As we cut to the flag 5 times in the same chapter. Just rude, evil of Oda to do that.
Yeah.
But it really is just like one thing after another here.
Yeah.
After an arc where we saw battles to regain a lost crewmate.
Yeah.
Now
I like
we're
that.
seeing the opposite.
Yeah, Luffy had said last arc, like I'm not gonna lose a single one of my crew. Like I'll die before I let that happen.
Yeah.
So a big contrast from that moment to this.
That's a great point.
It's so intense. And the next chapter title is Captain.
I wonder what that's about. All right. So yeah, anything else on this chapter?
I've had enough pain.
Yeah, right. Let's end this.
All right. So moving on, Gadatsu's Unexpected Life on the Blue Sea, Volume 18. The explosion brings out the forest boss. The forest boss, a large baboon, is disturbed by the large burst of water.
Wow, how unexpected.
A lot of unexpected stuff going on here.
So many unexpected things. I feel like it's funny because like Gadatsu expects nothing because he has like, yeah, although he seems to be like doing better than he has from the beginning of this arc when he was struggling to blink and open his mouth, etc.
He's still crossing his arms like this though.
Yeah, he's back to normal.
He's never gonna stop doing that.
Nope.
But yeah, it's like all these bosses.
So now we have the Earth
out.
boss and the Forest boss
and Sky boss.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll have the Ocean boss
and Fire boss.
Yeah, gotta have all of them. And then we can summon Captain Planet.
Yeah.
Speaking of Captain,
nice.
How about we get Evan summary for the next chapter?
Segue. Joel's killing it today.
Mm-hmm.
All right, chapter 33, Captain. As the smoke begins to settle, Usopp readies himself for the next attack. Luffy emerges, launching a Gum Gatling, but Usopp counters with blasting cactus stars and triple exploding stars, keeping Luffy at bay. Luffy then lands a Gum pistol, which lands, sending Usopp off bounds. Luffy then attacks using a Gum bazooka, but at the last second, Usopp absorbs the attack with an impact dial, which he uses on Luffy at point-blank range, sending him flying backwards. Usopp, who also took damage from the impact dial, seems to be out of tricks, and Luffy lines up a Gum bullet, which strikes Usopp in the stomach, leaving him crumpled on the ground. Luffy angrily yells out, "There's no way you could defeat me," and starts to walk back to the ship and tells Usopp he can do what he likes with the merry-go. Luffy struggles with his own decision when Zoro points out he is the captain and shouldn't doubt himself. The Straw Hats decide they must leave the ship and can never return. The battle is over, but it seems both sides have lost.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Brutal.
Can't nobody wins.
Yeah, I really like the way that you phrased that last sentence. It's very true.
Yeah, this is so brutal. It's like there's like no one wins. Like no one really won the battle. Like brutal. But Usopp, I feel like we were saying he impressed us in the last chapter. Like this chapter, he really turns it on. Like I think he legitimately had Luffy on his heels.
Mm-hmm.
This was a real battle. This chapter, I think this was serious.
Yeah, I mean, like he really brought his all, and he put up a fight, and he proved to Luffy that like he wasn't just gonna be a pushover.
Yeah, like the impact dial, like that was a real blow. That was a solid blow on Luffy. That was a really smart move. He's like, I don't have the power, but I can absorb your power and blast it right back in your face. It's a brilliant move.
And he was that committed that he was willing to do that after the Franky family just beat him to hell twice.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like, he is not at 100% health.
He's barely at 1%.
He might not. Yeah, I was just gonna say, realistically, he's probably like 20%.
His entire body is like wrapped in bandages.
Yeah. Brutal. And we get the flashback of Usopp making the jolly in this chapter. So sad.
And more memories and just kind of showing like what they had.
Mm-hmm. And just the entire crew's reaction to that final blow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love like how much is conveyed in this chapter without them actually saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like the panels like really speak for themselves.
And the subtlety too.
Yeah.
Like Nami and Chopper's panels, totally. But like just how different Zoro and Sanji's reactions are, but how subdued those reactions are at the same time.
Yeah. Like they understand the severity of the situation, like obviously.
Right.
But like, you know, they just process it differently than like Nami and Chopper.
Right, because I feel like Sanji and Zoro are the warriors of this crew. And so like they can respect a duel in that manner where a show of strength. And I feel like they're seeing it through a different lens than Chopper and Nami, who are coming at it from a completely emotional standpoint, where it's just like hard to watch because they don't want either side to win, really.
Well, Sanji is giving me like I think he has like a look of like disbelief. He's like have we really come to this? And Zoro's just like the most stoic. Like
Zoro's Zoro.
Yeah, so he's like, all right, so that's the way it played out.
Yeah. Ah, man, so hard to watch.
And Luffy too, like Luffy wins, but then like he falls to his knees and like you idiot, like there's no way you could have thought you could beat me. Like you brought this upon yourself. Like it didn't have to be like this.
Mm-hmm.
Which is actually exactly what you were saying about Usopp going into the Franky family's house earlier, which I didn't think about the first time.
What was that?
Usopp knowing
going to a battle he knew he was going to lose.
Oh yeah.
You just made me see the connection there,
which I think says a lot about Usopp, because like he just has like a very strong conviction in this case. It's like he has something that is worth fighting for to him, and like he's willing to like put himself through this because he cares that much about the ship.
Yeah, and it's like at the end of all that, being a reader who loves Usopp and Luffy, you're like ready for them to reconcile after this insane battle. And Luffy even has a moment where he kind of like stops, takes a beat, says this is too much, and you have a feeling that he's about to go back on everything that he set up to this point. And Zoro steps in and is like, don't doubt yourself. You know? And that was a really intense moment. And Zoro's someone who hasn't said anything pretty much this entire fight. Like from the argument straight through the battle, hasn't said a word. And then I feel like Luffy has a moment of where he's questioning his own leadership and his own decision making. And then Zoro in that moment decides to speak up and be like, don't doubt yourself. Which as a reader is so hard to read because you were so ready for Luffy to be like, like turn back and just be like, I can't take this. You can't leave this crew, like whatever. So that was a really heavy moment.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And like we were talking about earlier, how like Zoro lets people make their decisions. He doesn't step in like unless he feels he has to. And like in this case here, like I think he's fulfilling his role to his captain, be like, I'm here like to follow you, but you have to make sure that like if you're going to be leading us, you have to make sure that like you're sure of yourself. Like we can't have a captain who is going to like guess himself or like not be sure like what to do. We need a decisive captain who's going to make the decisions and stick to it. Because if you can't follow yourself, then how are we going to follow you?
Yeah.
In contrast, we get Sanji having to counsel Chopper.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Telling him to be strong.
But also the fact that the kind thing to do is to leave Usopp alone.
So I'm showing him like pity.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is, I feel like is a really cool way to like. Oh yeah, go for it.
No, I was just gonna say that he couldn't help himself. He still left supplies so Usopp could mend himself.
Yeah.
Which was so sweet, but sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. What were you saying?
No, dude, you're good. It feels like two sides of the same coin. Of Zoro saying, "Okay, we need to rely on you. You can't doubt yourself." But at the same time, we have to. It's Sanji talking about taking care of Usopp at the same time, and like that's the other side of that decision. You know, you have to understand that you have to keep going forward with the decision that you've made. But Sanji basically saying in a different way, like you can't show him pity. You can't, in a sense, go back or make a compromise on this. But for Zoro, it's the more duty, the more understanding your role route, and for Sanji, it's the more interpersonal, like think about the other person sort of route.
Mm-hmm.
It's also like respecting Usopp's decision. Like Usopp decided to leave the crew, and like he went to this fight knowing what the outcome would be. So like, we have to respect that decision, and like by going to help him and treat him, like you're going to kind of like undo like what he did. So like it's like I think it's a respectful move for Usopp to like acknowledge him as a person and like the decisions that he made.
100% agree.
Then Luffy just relinquishes the Mary to Usopp. Like after all that, like he's like we have to say like goodbye to the Mary. You can have the ship if it means that much to you. Like you can have it, but we have to find a new ship, and we're gonna keep moving forward. Like he wants to be the Pirate King, so like he can't let like this stop him from achieving his goal. This is like just a very large like obstacle that he has to overcome in order to proceed and move forward with his dream. So no matter what happens, he has to keep going.
Yeah. I feel like we see a lot of resolve from Luffy in this whole volume. It feels just like pushing through, making decisions to enable to get the crew moving forward, like you were just saying.
Yeah, and then like the final page where it shows like Luffy crying with Chopper. Like, yeah, this is definitely taking a toll on Luffy too. Like he took no joy in winning this fight, and like this is like crushing his spirit.
Yeah, it looks to me like Usopp is also in a puddle of his own tears.
Yeah, Usopp as well. He's crying.
Nami's crying. Chopper's hysterical.
Yeah, like really, really tough stuff here, for sure.
Yeah,
like you said, like we've like grown so attached to like these characters, and like you expect them to resolve it, and they don't.
Yeah, right. And even with the Mary, like this whole time, I feel like I've been optimistic that that'll be good news. And then with Usopp, this entire time, I've been like, yeah, this will turn around. Like they'll figure it out. You know. So yeah, it's really heartbreaking just to kind of see these milestones happening.
It really messes with like your expectations, and it makes it feel like all the more like powerful. Just like how emotional like this whole situation is.
Totally.
Because like you expect like good things to happen, or them to like work things out, and like this, I think this like really tests like the crew. Like they've never been tested like this before.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts on this one?
That's all I got.
Okay. Well, I'm sure the next chapter will be a little bit more lighthearted. So.
Yeah.
Oh. Optimism.
Right. Chapter 334, Big Trouble in the Secret Room. The Strats have all abandoned the Mary, leaving Usopp on the ship alone. The following day, there is a commotion across Border 7. Something happened last night, and they wonder if it has something to do with the destruction of the Franky house. The remaining Straw Hats have set up at the Rooftop Inn. Sanji had spent the night keeping watch at the Cape in case Robin returned. They still have no idea where she is. Nami arrives on the rooftop with the others and reports the iceberg was shot last night. Iceberg is in a coma, but the Galileo shipwrights are summoned to the office. Kaku and Lulu don't know who could shoot Iceberg, but there was no signs of a robbery or that anything was stolen. Lulu wonders if Corgi from the world government was retaliating, but Kaku thinks it's unwise to accuse the government. Upon learning about the assassination attempt, Luffy takes off and sees if he can check things out. Nami offers to come along. Sanji and Chopper decide to look around the town for Robin, while Zoro decides to hang back. Franky arrives back in Water 7 and disembarks from the sea train. Meanwhile, outside the Galileo Company office, the citizens gather around, eager to find out what's going on with the Iceberg. The doctor looks over Iceberg as the investigators inspect the crime scene. There are no signs of a break-in, and the only clue left behind was a mask. Franky returns with Kiwi and Mozu to find Franky House in pieces. Furious, he realizes it must have been the work of the Straw Hats. Okay, so not great news. So to add on top of all that, Iceberg has survived an assassination attempt. He's currently in a coma.
Mm-hmm. It's going from bad to worse to worser to the sucks.
One silver lining. Usopp is officially captain of the Merry Go.
Yeah,
he's finally did it. This is exactly what he imagined when he said 8,000 henchmen.
Yep. No tangerine trees. But
no tangerine trees.
8,000 henchmen.
Man, that full page of like the Merry Go just completely empty and Usopp laying on the deck is so depressing. So depressing.
It really shows like how hollow it is to like, have the Merry now as like a consolation. It's like you have the Merry, but like, was it worth it? Yeah, those are a tough series of panels.
Yep.
At least Usopp was on the color spread.
I know. I was looking at that. I was like, oh my god, is Usopp going to be in this? He is.
They're right.
They look so happy,
right?
He is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank God.
Yep. On actually better note, I love the in the page after the montage that we don't have to look at anymore. This guy's apron, this bad rose apron. it's pretty sick.
That is pretty cool. Water 7, they got style.
Got the drip. Got that water drip.
Yeah, so then there's like this mysterious like attempt to kill Iceberg. We don't know who did it or why. Doesn't seem like they broke in or forced entry. So they don't know how they got in.
Mm-hmm.
And Iceberg didn't die, so that they failed the assassination attempt. So that's good, at least.
We know Franky's got an alibi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did seem like he was one of the suspects. So
yeah, but we as readers know that he was shopping because he was getting off of the train,
spending that money,
spending those 2 million berries on that thing.
Yeah,
to do the thing. But the only slice of the one slice of evidence we do get is the mask, which looks very familiar. I will say that.
Oh. Okay. So which mask do you think that is?
I recognized the mask from earlier in the last volume when we see Robin disappearing with a masked companion.
Okay.
When Sanji approaches and tries to catch her.
So interesting clue.
Or at least the same markings.
Yeah.
On the mask.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
I just noticed that this doctor literally has like, I don't know the name for like I guess the Red Cross, just like on his forehead, so that we all know this guy's a doctor. Just so we're clear, he's in the medical profession.
Hey, he could be a construction worker. We don't know because they also have a cross.
I'm sorry. I don't want to assume. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's on me. That was.
He doesn't have the line going across the helmet, so maybe not.
Also, another great Polly moment. He just wants to get to his boss. Screw the reporters.
Yeah.
Screw the story. He just wants to make sure Iceberg's okay.
Yeah.
Which, like, he's not the only one, but
right.
It was emphasized.
Yeah, this is affecting the whole town.
It was cathartic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we had talked about earlier, like Iceberg is like such an effective leader. Like the town also, they love him as a leader. So like they like, care that like he's injured and like he could be dying. Like they like, hey, what's happening to our leader? Like we want to make sure he's okay.
And Luffy even brings it up. Everyone loved and respected him.
Yeah,
I'm going
to who would do this.
Yeah, I love how quickly Luffy was to jump into action. It's like, I'm gonna go check that out, because Luffy clearly trusts these people. Like,
yeah.
In the argument he had with Usopp, he could have doubled down and been like, "You're right. We don't know these people. Like, maybe we should get a second opinion." But Luffy clearly trusts these people because he stuck by their assessment of the merry-go.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
And we know Luffy is a good judge of character.
It's true. And we have another case where Zoro being passive. Yeah, just kind of like.
Yep. I'm just gonna wait here and do nothing.
let's see how things play out here.
Aggressively passive.
Where is Sanji mentions that he was at, I think they called it the Rocky Cape. Is that where they docked the ship?
I think so.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, because he was waiting for Robin.
Headcanon, I think he was just as much worried about Usopp as he was waiting for Robin.
Fair point.
He wasn't gonna like go to him, but he's also like, I just want to make sure, like,
could be
it's not too bad for him. I don't know. Just a weird headcanon. But also Robin.
Yeah, to kind of support that, he says, I stayed by Rocky Cape all night, keeping watch, just in case Robin returned. So he has like a little pause. Yes, he has a little pause there. So like it seems like he might be kind of catching himself. So that's a good point. I didn't notice that, but I think that's a good point.
I love Sanji, man. I love Sanji. He cares. Oh, another thing from that page. Luffy's on his seat.
Yeah.
Like he's taking the same position he would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed that.
Come on.
So good.
You gotta go take the highest point you can find.
Perch.
Yeah.
All right. We got a murder mystery on our hands.
Yeah, Evan, any gut feelings about this or any thoughts after this chapter on the whodunit aside from the mask?
Yeah, aside from what I said, like I feel like the mask is obviously a big clue, and we know Franky has an alibi, so that's really all I got at this point.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on to the next part of the cover story. Gadatsu's Unexpected Life on the Blue Sea, Volume 19, the Sky Boss, who made the Forest Boss his henchman. Gadatsu recruits the Forest Boss the way he recruited the Earth Boss, by defeating him with a jet punch.
Smoking elbow. Another successful victory.
That's what I call aggressive negotiation.
Even the bump is smoking.
Yeah. Over the Earth Boss is like, yeah, been there.
I can relate.
I know your pain.
Is that what I looked like?
He wasn't even wearing a helmet.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And we got like the steam bath guy in the background, just like chilling. You can get out to her now, just like good buddies.
Yeah. It's like Gadatsu does the heavy lifting. I'll just supervise. Yeah. I'll supervise. All right. Let's get Evan's summary for the next chapter.
All right. Chapter 335. Warning. Franky stands mortified in front of the pile of rubble formerly known as the Franky House. When his lackeys return, they tell Franky the Straw Hats are staying at an inn in town and are on their way to Dock 1. Sirens begin to blare throughout Water 7, warning the approach of Aqua Laguna. Having no clue what that means, Sanji and Chopper ask the locals, who tell them Aqua Laguna is an annual high tide that will submerge the town in seawater. Sanji and Chopper now need to hurry to find Robin. Meanwhile, Luffy and Nami arrive at Dock 1 to a large crowd of people demanding updates on their beloved Mr. Iceberg. When suddenly music rings out and the stage is spotted above Dock 1, where there's some synchronized dancing, and the musical guest reveals themselves to be Franky. Franky then calls out Luffy, who steps forward voluntarily. Just then, Iceberg regains consciousness, which is made public knowledge, and the people of Water 7 rejoice. As Iceberg's friends stand by his side, he says he remembers the events of last night. There are two people present, a large man with a mask, and a woman who he believes to be Nico Robin.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, so like every chapter, it's like things can't get any worse, right? And it gets worse.
It gets worse. Now Robin's looking sus.
So sus.
Yeah, so to Evan's guess earlier, he noticed the mask, which was the person that was with Robin, which now makes her look guilty because now that's corroborated by what Iceberg saw. So he says it was Robin and somebody in the mask.
A tall, blonde-haired woman with sharp eyes. It had to be Nico Robin.
Yeah, because he has the wanted poster from when she was a kid. So he might recognize Robin from that, but he doesn't know what Robin looks like now, presumably. But he knows who Robin is, and it seems like he possibly recognized her, and we know that she is in Water 7. So as a reader, we know that.
Right.
He had the bounty poster up, like Evan mentioned, before this assassination attempt, right?
Yeah, so it was just showing on the back wall.
Yeah.
Something's afoot.
Something's afoot. So is this this whole Aqua Laguna thing's also afoot. What's coming up?
Yeah, dude. Everything is going down.
Just
so happens that the once annual Aqua Laguna is happening today. Middle of the assassination attempt.
You get the full Water 7 experience.
Yeah, right? Hopefully somebody tells Usopp.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Ooh. I just want the next cover story to be like someone whose train ride was delayed by the Aqua Laguna. Because Coco's like, yeah, the train's not running tonight. I was supposed to be like, God, I got all this stuff from the shopping center. I have all this normal food. I was getting my family a nice meal, and now it's ruined. And maybe it's all these other people who are like, who are gonna go on different trains to different places, and they have to like find some makeshift way to brave the storm. I don't know. It just seems like a funny thing that could happen.
Yeah, I think the concept of
comes out.
Yo, Kazuna. Yo.
Kazuna comes out and he's like, the train's good for nothing. I'll take you where you need to go.
I'm the train now.
I'm the train. Come with me.
Get on my back.
Yeah, I think Aqua Laguna, I think it's like it's an interesting like concept and wrinkle to like the city of Water 7. Like how because like it's basically like a large city on the water, so it's probably more susceptible to like the tides here, and it's going to be felt more drastically because like it's just going to be like completely taken over by this large wave. Yeah, so I think it's like a really cool concept to throw in here.
Definitely. We also get quite the performance from Franky, who you see without his mask for the first time.
Yeah, so now we see what he actually looks like.
Yeah.
Is this anything close to what you were expecting?
No, this is not at all what I was expecting. I don't know how you could possibly expect that. He's got some... Wow. Yeah. Got like the Popeye arms with the star tattoos. Yeah.
He's got like Ace Ventura vibes.
Yeah.
Ooh, totally.
Jim Carrey looking.
Totally does. Got
and a Speedo.
Shades, calling everybody bro. Speedo, Hawaiian t-shirt, big old chain.
Yeah. Luffy's like, who is that weirdo?
I don't know why, but Speedo Guy, it feels like top 5 disparaging nicknames given by Luffy. Like, damn, you really,
That's a good one.
You really went for blood there, buddy. There were so many things you could have brought up, but like,
so good. So Luffy too.
Yeah, so I love how like. Go ahead, Cody.
I was gonna say this guy literally brought a sheet to hide behind and obscure his own silhouette.
Like the curtain's still up.
The big reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love how like the crowd's reacting like, oh, come on, this guy again?
Yeah.
Dude, Franky, just leave us alone. You do this every day.
Did somebody call my name?
No.
We didn't. We didn't call you. Get lost.
I see him. He's dancing.
Nah,
we don't want to hear. Just disappear.
He calls himself the hero.
I don't like how this makes Robin look. We've already lost one crewmate. I can't bear to lose another crewmate. And like you said, Nico, like Robin's been MIA this pretty much entire volume. I think she had. I think like I mean, she still is MIA, but this is the first mention of her for like an entire volume.
Yeah, and we just had in the last volume, like Aokiji like talked about how like you can't trust her. Like every group that she's been a part of, she's been the last like survivor. So like I think this is like really like reinforcing like Aokiji's warning. It's like, do you really know her? Like, can you really trust her? And it's like, yeah, it makes the Straw Hats not look good as well that like they're associating with her.
Yup, planting that seed of doubt. I don't know. I like Robin's character, so I hope that she's not in it deep with some shady characters. Although that would kind of fit her MO.
What?
I mean, she did say her she did say like her skill was assassination when she first introduced herself to the rest of the crew. Was it Usopp that asked her like in Alabasta? Yeah. So
I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's like so like what is it that you do? And she's like assassination. I think she did like a wink. But like, she was like being a little quiet about it. But yeah.
God, that's right. I forgot about that.
And she's got the devil fruit powers to do it. So
yeah. CP9.
CP9.
That's right. Yeah, because the guy with the mask said that he was with CP9. So we don't really know what their deal is, but it seems like she's involved with them in some way.
It's the MI6, but bad guys. Not great.
Not great.
Things are not
top
getting
10
better.
anime betrayals. One little thing that I noticed in the panel where we see the newspaper article about Iceberg's assassination attempt. Does like the guy holding the piece of lumber behind Iceberg give like the vibes of like Usopp being in the corner of Luffy's wanted poster to anyone else? I have an agenda. And I will support it.
You think there's more to it?
No, I just think it's. I'm just here for Luffy equals Iceberg pattern propaganda.
Oh, I see. Okay,
that's what I'm peddling here.
So you're comparing this to Luffy's. Okay.
The photo bomb.
Yep. That's my entire. That's my whole goal with this volume is like Luffy Iceberg. That's what I got. Yeah.
But does that mean that there can't be two captains? Because it seems like Iceberg is like a leadership role. So like, Luffy wanted. Yeah, Luffy wants Iceberg to be on the crew. He invited him to be on the crew. He kind of turned it down. It's like, no, like I have these other captain things to do. I'm just saying, like, yeah, I think that kind of like helps cement that like Iceberg is like the leader type figure. So like he couldn't be on the crew with Luffy because they're two leader figures.
Yeah, and that's more where I'm going with it. Like Iceberg's place as a leader reflecting Luffy's place as a leader, and like the thematic connection to them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of spitballing, like, because they are still looking for somebody to be a carpenter. So I think it's less likely to be Iceberg if that's the case. But,
okay, yeah.
But you never know.
Yeah,
I'm just
seems full of good prospects.
All right. Anything else?
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Gadatsu's Unexpected Life on the Blue Sea, Volume 20. Leave the forest boss in charge of the island and keep digging, Earth boss. The forest boss is left to watch the surface, while the Earth boss continues digging holes. So they have their domains.
All right. Real quick before we do the next chapter, the SBS confirms that Montblanc Noland and Montblanc Cricket had a real chestnut on their head.
Yeah.
Which was a conversation that we had. It was one of those conversations where, like, I wonder what if that's actually a chestnut or what that is.
Yeah.
So here's Oda coming through again and answering our obscure questions.
And that's why I think it's like typically best not to think too hard about like those little details. You just kind of accept it at like face value.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it does make you wonder, like what's going on with this guy? Like, why does he have a chestnut on his head? All right, let's move on. Chapter 336, Luffy versus Franky. Now meeting Luffy, Franky tells him that he's angry that he destroyed his house. Nami asks about the money, but Franky says he already spent it all. Luffy says he doesn't care about the money, he just wants to kick his butt. Franky feels the same way. He inhales and breathes out fire. Luffy and Nami suspect he has a devil fruit until he jumps into the water. Franky says he didn't eat a devil fruit, as he launches his fist from his arm attached to a chain, launching Luffy. He explains that he's a cyborg. Over at the Galileo Company, the workers gather around the iceberg. Luffy was able to contact the government and found out that Robin is currently a member of the Straw Hats. They wonder if this was retaliation for being told they can't fix the ship. The news gets out to the public that the Straw Hats were responsible for the attack on the iceberg. Talstone comes running into Iceberg's room, shouting that Luffy and Franky are fighting at Dock 1. Iceberg thinks to himself that he doesn't think the Straw Hats attacked because he turned them down and wonders if they are connected to the government and are after something else he has. As Luffy and Franky battle it out, the Galileo shipwrights show up to take down Luffy as well.
Well, shit.
Yep. Wait, it gets worse.
Not coming to join the crew. They're coming to kick your butt.
And they're like, hey, you try to kill our boss? We're not going to let that fly.
Not cool, man. Yeah, this is looking bad. This is looking real bad.
Yeah, so a lot to unpack here as well. I think there's a lot of information that's being presented here. Yeah, so I do want to bounce back to Evan, though, because we're now getting more information about this Franky dude. Like, what'd you think of this guy? Now that you can see him like in action, like what his deal is.
Yeah, Franky has clearly had some work done. Like a cyborg. I was not expecting that.
Right.
I thought that was hilarious when, like, he's definitely has devil fruit powers, and then he jumps in the water, and they're like,
"Yeah,
that was a weird thing to do."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh my god, he doesn't have." And he comes out being like, "I don't have devil fruit powers. I'm a cyborg."
Yeah.
Yeah, seems like a pretty formidable opponent. He's got plenty of tricks up his sleeves.
Yeah, I remember like being surprised that this guy was like a cyborg the first time through the series. I was like, that felt like such like a different concept from anything we've really seen so far. Like we haven't been introduced to like a cyborg type character in this world.
That was the first.
So yeah, I think that kind of like implies like just like something we haven't really seen. It's like this kind of level of technology. Like, we've seen like trains here, but like a cyborg feels like kind of a leap almost, you know?
Totally. Especially because he looks very human. Like, he doesn't look
human.
So that's some pretty good cybernetics.
And so versatile.
Cool character design, though.
Yeah.
Very.
Retractable arms. Similar to Luffy, actually. But the mechanical version. I really love seeing Zoro and Luffy's wanted photos side by side. Like, we've talked about the difference between them, but seeing them side by side is just so great.
Yeah.
Luffy's got his big old smile, and Zoro's got like blood running down his face and is like very stern looking.
Yeah.
I love the disparity between those two.
Yeah, the word got out that the Straw Hats are in cahoots with Robin.
The newspaper system in Water 7.
Yeah.
Like the fact they got this put together, printed, distributed that fast. That's impressive.
Hot off the press.
Oh yeah. It's getting intense. I don't like these odds.
Nope.
The entire Galila Foreman group and Franky versus Luffy and Nami. Don't like that. Don't like that. I don't like those odds.
Yeah, I love
like,
go ahead.
I was gonna say shit's hitting the fan, and it's just like all coming.
Shit is hitting the fan.
Like over and over again.
Yeah.
Like every chapter.
Yeah, for real. Just keeps compounding. And we spent an entire volume without seeing Robin. All we've seen are the allegations against her. Crazy, man. I hope we don't lose 2 crewmates in this arc. That would suck. I really hope Robin's not evil.
I mean, not looking great.
Not looking good. Not terribly optimistic on that. Right, I've lost a bit of optimism in this arc.
They beat you down, Evan.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's always been kind of like a happy result, or like things usually kind of work themselves out. Things kind of, end how you want them to end. But not this volume. This volume is taking away 2 valuable crew members, Marigo and Usopp.
Yeah, if you would compare it to like Alabasta, where it's like when the bad things keep happening with the Crocodile's plans, like he always had a contingency where it seemed like hopeless, like Luffy kept losing. Like you always felt like at the end of the day, like eventually Luffy was gonna like get there,
Right.
Or like Skypiea, where it's like Kingdom Come Cloud like forms and like Angel Island gets like wiped out. You still feel like at the end of the day, Luffy's probably gonna like win. But like when you get to like something like this, where it's like the crew is like falling apart, and like all these different pieces like coming into play, and things just seem like really bad. Like I do feel like there's a different vibe here, where it doesn't feel, like you said, as hopeful. It's like everything's gonna work out. Now it's kind of like, are things gonna work out? Like I don't feel too like hopeful about this.
Yeah, totally.
Storms are coming.
Yeah, Aqua Laguna.
Literally.
I do also like more of like Franky's interactions. He says he feels unstoppable this week. So just like the fact that he's like phrasing it as like the entire week is like he determined to like, okay, know what, I'm having a great week. It's like he just like decides, all right, it's a whole week thing. It's not like I'm having a great day, I'm feeling great today, or unstoppable right now. It's like the whole week. So I just kind of love that little like quirk. And then he also justifies taking the money because he's like, oh, you guys are pirates. You probably just took it from someone else. So you probably didn't even like earn it yourself. So really, it wasn't yours to begin with. So he justifies it that way.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. He's really good at having plausible deniability. Because I feel like there's a big amount of that. There's a fair amount of that with his conversation with Usopp too.
Yeah.
Because he was saying, okay, you probably stole it. I mean, you could talk to the Navy, but they will arrest you.
Yeah.
And, too bad you couldn't guard the money. Like, I mean, that's all. That's on you, homie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No honor amongst thieves.
Yeah.
And he says he's already spent all the money too. So it seems like they're not getting that money back. Like early in the volume, it's also like, oh, like Nami says, oh, they're gonna get the money back. Can you believe her at that moment? and especially like the way like the Straw Hats like have like their walk on like the Franky house, and it's like okay, they mean business, like they're probably gonna like overcome this, but it's kind of like eventually get to the point where like Luffy like and the crew are saying it's not about the money, but like we know that they needed that money, and now we have confirmation that Franky has spent that money, and they have no way of getting that money back, so that's gone. I mean, they still have 100 million, but they lost like 2/3 of their money.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I love that it's specifically after that's established, like you're not getting the money back, and that's when Luffy's like, I'm just here to kick your ass.
Yeah. Oh, that's water under the bridge.
Yeah. You made my best friend quit my crew.
Yeah. It's personal.
I don't know. I feel like if Usopp didn't have the burden of being the one to lose the money, that there would have been at least some chance of Luffy being able to like at least reconcile things with him instead of it escalating to that degree. Personally,
see, I
think it would have been hard, but like, yeah,
I think it was inevitable. Yeah, I think it would have happened either way, just because like how much like the Mary means to Usopp. Like, I don't see a way he would have just accepted like Luffy saying, "No, what, we're gonna replace the Mary." Like, that's just the way it is. Like, I don't see a world where Usopp says, "You know what, Luffy, it's tough, but like you're right." Like, I think he would fight this like to the death or to the nail, like no matter what the circumstances were.
You think it would have gotten to this level that it did? Like this?
Yeah, I think Usopp would have still gone as far as he did, if it meant trying to save the Mary.
All right.
Like, I don't think it helps getting to this point, but yeah, I think Usopp's motivations are going to be like more like the Mary is his priority in this case. That's the most important thing, and that's why like it means so much to him, like in general. Because again, like the personal attachment he has to the ship, like, but him feeling responsible for losing the money to fix it, like I think that doesn't help the situation. But I think either way, Usopp would have fought to save the Mary.
Yeah, I think if Usopp was with the crew when they were receiving that information, like if he was hearing that spoken from Galila, like, and the shipwrights, I think his beef would have been with the shipwrights and not with Luffy.
Right. Yeah, because Luffy reacted the same way.
Yeah, Luffy had the same reaction. Right.
And they would have been on the same page.
Yes.
And the Franky family is the one that stopped Usopp from being there to hear it from the shipwrights.
Yeah.
I think it still would have ended with like, I think Usopp still would have had like a huge thing, and Usopp might have still left the crew. But I personally think that Usopp's feeling of being useless and ineffectual and responsible for the crew's setback was, to me, one of the biggest factors in it escalating to that level, personally.
Yeah, I think that did maybe like amplify like the sense of I'm useless too. Like you've been saying, like there's been like moments and like build up to it, like these little seeds being planted about Usopp having like that, like the feeling of like insecurity and feeling like he's not like carrying his weight as part of the crew. So I think you're right. Like that's been amplified for sure by these circumstances, and it's just like kind of reinforced that for him.
But his connection to the ship is also extremely important to this as well, and it is, I think, an equal contributor to that. Yeah, like you were saying. But damn.
Yeah. So quite the volume.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anybody have any other thoughts on the chapter or the volume as a whole?
I think this was one of the most emotional volumes we've had. And like,
for sure,
you know, we've had some really emotional backstories, but not like a lot like happening, you know, a lot like in real life, like in real time. I mean,
yeah.
Where we're seeing events unfold in real time and it end in tragedy like it did here. And also as a reader, like, cause you have all the information, right? So like, as you're reading it, it's so hard to like, watch everything unfold, knowing everything that we know as readers. That was brutal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I loved when you said, Evan, that I don't love it because like it sucks to hear someone losing their sense of optimism. But like to me, that's one of the most effectual things about like this volume and this arc is like, oh, I really want to be optimistic, but like this is the first time where it's really, really hard to be after everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's
I
like
think
when
that
they kill
speaks
off
to
like one of your favorite characters, and you're like, oh my gosh, none of the characters are safe now. Like they went, like it goes there. You know, we seemingly lost like, you know, one of the OGs.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to the quality of the writing and the story itself. That like I think this is the reaction that you should have reading this.
Mhm.
Like this is not meant to be like, oh, this is happy and hopeful. This is like meant to make you feel and like have experience like these emotions. Like we're attached to these characters, we care for them, and we don't want to see them go through these bad things. But it does make very compelling and very interesting stories. So like from a story standpoint, like it's like really well done. And I would say this kind of like it feels like an Empire Strikes Back moment where it's like, you know, things are like going badly. You know, like Empire Strikes Back doesn't end on a happy note. Like not every story has to be like a happy ending. So like the fact that like One Piece can have like these really like high like emotional highs and emotional lows. I think that's like such a credit to Oda's writing. I feel like this is like super important for really expanding the story of One Piece and like bring it to like a new level that we haven't experienced in this way. Because like it doesn't feel like anything we've had in the story so far. It feels very unique in that sense. So I do think that makes it feel strong so far. And it just like we feel like we're going along with the crew because we've been with them for so long at this point. Like we've seen so much of their journey and we know what they've been through. And to see them going through this now, like it feels like we're going with them as part of the crew, and like we're like we don't want to see them in this, but like we feel for them like in this moment.
Yay! Oh man,
Yeah. So unfortunately, we are going to end the volume kind of on a dour note, but that's how it goes sometimes. And yeah, like I was saying, I just think that that's like the strength of One Piece. Like it can make you feel like really happy. It can make you feel really sad, but like that's I think the marker of a good story.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
And I cannot wait to hear Evan's thoughts on volume 36.
Oh, dude, I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out right now, man.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot up in the air right now.
Yeah.
A lot of things that I've loved about One Piece for so long are up in the air.
Well, you'll have to see how that continues next volume. But for right now, that will conclude this week's episode of the We Are Reading One Piece podcast. You can find this episode wherever podcasts are found at We Are Reading One Piece podcast.buzzsprout.com or on our YouTube channel at We Are Reading One Piece. This is a spoiler-free channel up to where we record the podcast, so if you're new to the series, you can visit the channel there. You can also find me and this podcast on my YouTube channel at Pirate King Codex for various One Piece content. Next episode, we'll be discussing Volume 36, The Ninth Justice. I've been Joel, and I've been joined by Evan.
Thanks for listening.
And Cody.
I'm Cody. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, be sure to bring along all of your hopes and dreams, and we'll see you on the next episode.